Welcome back, everyone. Today for another division video. Today we are going to be covering the division box method. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to first start by framing it by naming our reasons to use the division box method. Um, Number one being it shows our division strategies just like long division does. But it gives us a little bit of an advantage over long division because it lines our numbers up by place value in case we get confused. So again, our steps are almost the exact same like it would be for using long division, but this time I'm just going to show you how to kind of combine a place value chart with our normal long division strategies. But again, these steps again are list your multiples, rewrite the problem if you need to. The pattern is a little different, and you'll see why when we actually start solving the problems. But the pattern goes divide, multiply, subtract, bring it up, and bring it back. So the up is a little different than bringing it down. And then 4, again, you can check your work by multiplying your quotient times your divisor and adding the remainder if you have one in your problem. So since we've looked at our steps and we know our reasons, now is the time to actually practice and to go ahead and get started. So the first problem we have is 284 divided by 4. And we know that this is not written in the form that we use long division, or I'm sorry, we use the division box method, so we're going to put it in the proper format that we'll use. So you can actually start by writing it just like how you would a long division problem with your 4 on the outside, but this time we are going to go ahead and break apart our numbers using these lines. And if we need to, we can also name our place values. And again, this will be our ones, our tens, our hundreds. We've set it up, so now let's list our multiples. Again, steps 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable, but let's go ahead and do that. So we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36. Since we've done that, we can go ahead and get started. And I'm going to write these steps over here just to help me. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring it up, and bring it back. You don't have to write these down if you've got to memorize. But this method kind of works if we're struggling a little bit with memorizing. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and put it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to first start just like I would with long division. How many times can 4 go into 2? It can't, and we can double check that with our multiples. So we know that it can't, so I need to multiply now. 0 times 4, which is 0. Next, I subtract. Gives me a difference of 2. Now, instead of bringing down this number, we're going to bring our difference up. So now I have 28 divided by 4. So I can look at my multiples and I can see what number is closest to 28 without passing it, or do we have it equal to 28? We will see that we do have it equal to 28. That'll be 7 times because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I multiply, 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract gives me 0. Bring this up, so I'm bringing my 0 up. And I bring it back, so I start with dividing again. How many times can 4 go into 4? Just once. Multiply 1 times 4, which gives me 4. Subtract gives me 0. I have no place to bring the 0 up to, nothing to bring it back to, so I know that my quotient is 71. I'm going to check that by taking my quotient and multiplying it times my divisor. So 71 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. We see that it matches the number we put in there, so we know that 71 is the correct quotient. Let's move on to another example. So we see that we have this division problem written as a fraction. So again, when a division problem is written as a fraction, you take your numerator, and that is going to be the number that we're putting inside. And our denominator is what we're dividing by. So I've got 78 divided by 3. And again, if I'm using the division box method, I'm going to make a place value chart. You don't have to put your place values in if you just need help lining it up, but I'm going to use this again to help us get the memorization down. And now I need to list my multiples of 3 all the way to 3 times 9. I'm only going to do it all the way to 9 times because I can't put a digit that's 2 digits in one place value. That's just not possible. So I'm going to list my multiples: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. I'm going to start with my steps. How many times can 3 go into 7? Well, let's look at our multiples. 1, 2, can't go 3 times because 9 would be too big, so it's only going to be 2 times. 3 times 2, or I'm sorry, 2 times 3 is 6. I've divided, I've multiplied, and I know I multiply whenever I put my number below. I subtract, gives me a difference of 1. Bring my 1 on up, so I have 18. Now bring it back to my steps, so I'm dividing. 18 divided by 3. Let's look at our skip counts. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We found our match, so we know it has to be a 6. 6 times 3, 18. Subtract gives me 0. Let's check ourselves by doing our quotient times what we divided by. 26 times 3. 3 times 6, 18. Regroup my 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. We see that it checks out, so we know our quotient is in fact 26. Awesome. Let's keep powering through. Next, we have 56 divided by 4. And we know that this little backslash sign is another way we can show it's a division problem because it's like writing it as a fraction. So, got 56 divided by 4. Again, combine it with a place value chart. I can actually bring this on down if I need to. I don't need this line going all past, so let's clean that up. Oop. Clean up my lines. Ones, tens. We've already written it. Let's do our multiples. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36, all the way 9 times. So let's start with our steps. How many times can 4 go into 5? Just once. I divided, so I multiply. 1 times 4, which is 4. I subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. I bring my 1 on up, and I bring it back. So I'm starting back and dividing. So 16 divided by 4. How many times can 4 go into 16? Well, let's look at our skip counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've found a match. Multiply 4 times 4. Put our product down here. 16. Subtract gives me 0. So we know our quotient is 14. I could check it with multiplication, but just for time, we are just going to say our quotient is 14. Now we have a little bit of a more tricky problem here. We've got 170 divided by 13. Now I could list my multiples of 13 if I wanted to, but that could take up a lot of time. So you're welcome to if you're struggling with it, but I'm going to show you again, just like in the long division video, on how to kind of check yourself as you go through. So let's set it up because it's not written the proper way. 170 13. Let's make our place value chart. We're going to go ahead and erase this on the side so it doesn't confuse us. Ones, tens, hundreds. Now let's see. How many times can 13 go into 1? Well, we know it can't because 1 is smaller than 13, so it's going to be 0. 0 times 13 is 0. Subtract gives me 1. Bring it on up. So I have 17. Now I need to see how many times can 13 go into 17. Well, I could count it on my fingers if I wanted to, but I'm just going to use my multiples by doing 13 times 2 to see if it could fit. I already know that it can't. I'm just showing you. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. It won't work because it's too big, so I could X it out or erase it. The Xing it out is just a way to show additional work. But since I know it can't be 2, it's got to be 1. 1 times 13 is 13. Whenever I subtract, 7 minus 3 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. Got to bring up my 4. So now I have 13 divided by 40. So let's go ahead and try 13 times 5 to see where that puts us at. 5 times 3, 15. Regroup my 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. 65. 65 is way too big, so we know it's not going to be 13 times 5. Well, let's try and do 13 times 4 to see if that works. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup my 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 52, still way too big. Process of elimination. Let's try 13 times 3 and see where that puts us at. 3 times 3 is 9. Looking good so far. 3 times 1 is 3. 39 will work, and that's pretty close to 40. So let's go ahead and put a 3 up here and try it. 3 times 13, like we just showed, 39. So let's go ahead and subtract. When I subtract, it gives me 1. So I've got 13 remainder 1 as my quotient. And I would say that that is a great answer because I can do my additional check right over here by doing 13 times 13. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 1, 3. Put my 0 because I'm moving from the 1s to the 10s. 1 times 3, 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add this together. Get 9, 6, 1. Add my remainder. 169 plus 1 is in fact 170. So I know 13 remainder 1 is my answer. But now you're done. These are the division strategies we're going to cover. We're going to learn later how to divide with decimals and all sorts of other cool things. But right now, these are the division strategies I want you to focus. Make sure you've watched the videos on long division and the introduction to division videos. But until then, I will see you next time. Have a great weekend.